peeps, welcome back to my channel. I am Honey Plants. Thank you for joining me and welcome back if you've seen my videos before. It is Friday and after a long week at work, I welcome doing a few plant chores. So stick around if you like this kind of video. I'm going to do a little bit of watering just to demonstrate how I water plants and talk a little bit about some mistakes I made when I was watering plants when I first started as a plant parent. I'm also going to repot my what is this plant called? Hoya black margin, I think it's called. I can't sometimes remember the names until I'm off camera, then I can remember. But the black margin Hoya, I'm going to do a repot on that one. And I have a couple other plants that look like they're kind of struggling, so I'm going to work with those. But first, I'll get the easy part out of the way. So I want to demonstrate how I water plants, because it kind of dawned on me that from talking to many of my in real life plant friends who may have been kind of new at growing plants and having house plants, that the way they water plants is not the way to make sure that the plant is thoroughly saturated. And so I'm going to demonstrate with my red Maranta plant, because it is very lightweight. The pot, it doesn't feel heavy anymore, and I can tell just by lifting this plant that it is in need of water. When I first started my plant journey, I noticed that one of my prayer plant type plants had a whole lot of curled leaves. And so you can see on this plant, it has some curled leaves, but those are brand new leaves that are starting to emerge. But what I noticed on my plant was that all of the mature leaves were also curling. And that's a sure sign that your prayer plant is in need of water, and it is really, really thirsty if that many leaves are curling. My plant hasn't gotten to that point, and you really don't want to let your Marantas and other plants get to the point where the leaves are curling all the way up like mine was. A little bit of curling, like in the syndapsis or skindapsis as some people say, is okay. Plants will let you know. So one way I know it's ready, I can pick up the pot. If it's a pot that I'm able to pick up that's not too big or too heavy, I pick that pot up, and if it feels lightweight, then I know that it is ready for a thorough watering. The other thing about it is I use my hands to check the soil and see if it is dry. Now this plant here is bone dry. It actually feels like the soil is hard to the touch. Sometimes soil will not feel that way when you feel it. Some people do use moisture meters. I don't have one because I just use my hands. That's me being old-fashioned. So at any rate, you feel down, push your finger down into the soil a couple inches, and if it is dry or the soil is very crumbly and whatnot, then you know you are ready to give that plant some water. The other thing I like to do to tell if plants need water is I touch my plant's leaves, and so I know when my plant is not thirsty, and then a lot of times I can feel the leaves, especially on my Hoya, and I can feel to see how rigid they are, and then I will know whether they are thirsty or not. And plants like this, the leaves don't get like really rigid like Hoya leaves, but you can still tell if they start to feel a little bit wimpy feeling and not as turgid. I think that's the correct term to the touch. So now I am going to angle the camera so that you can see what I am doing, because I have my watering can here. I'm not going to take you to the sink, but what I'm going to do is angle this down, and I'm going to water using my watering can. And I'll talk to you also about some mistakes that I made, other mistakes that I made when I was first learning how to care for plants. So here's my watering can, and I like this. This is one of them, and I like because it has a thin spout. And this thin spout will allow you to get down and water the plant evenly. And my mistake when I was first starting out, I was not watering my plants evenly. I will just water the middle of the plant, and that was that. Well, when you do that, if you feel down on the other sides of the edges and so forth, they are still going to be dry. And the roots that are in those areas are not going to be able to, in some cases, get the moisture from the one place that you water. So a thin spout on the watering can is a good idea so that you can put that water in different areas, and you can get in the crevices in between the leaves. And don't be afraid to put your hands down in there and move the leaves to the side. Now, because I'm showing you this on camera, I may give this plant a little bit less water than I normally would do. And I might, after the video is over, take it to the sink and thoroughly saturate it. I may be able to do it here. I just don't want to make a huge mess. But the whole point to this is that you are watering it thoroughly to the point where water does come out the bottom. And this kind of pot has the cover on the bottom, but what I normally do is tip it to the side and allow that extra water to drain out of that saucer that's screwed onto the bottom of the pot, because you do not want your plant to sit in water. Now, you might want to let it just sit for a while, maybe 20 minutes or so. And then it may soak up some more water, and then after about 20 minutes, then you can tip your plant to the side and pour the rest of that water out of the saucer that's attached. Now, as you're doing this, it also gives you another opportunity to check to see if there are any dead leaves. Like I just found a yellow leaf in here that I would not have seen otherwise. So when you are doing watering to your plants, it's a good idea to have your shears ready, which I don't have mine right now, but I will get rid of this yellow leaf after I get done with the video. But so now when I pick up the pot, it feels very weighty, and I'm gonna look like I can see, it looks like I can see some water right there that is at the bottom, at the here at the saucer area. So after a few minutes, I will tip this plant over and see if there's any extra water that needs to be drained, so this plant will not be oversaturated. So that's my tip on watering. I noticed when I was at work and my boys and girls were helping me at the very end of the day, and I let them hand me the water, and I get up on the stool and they help me water my plants. And I was watering some plants on my desk, and one of the boys and girls said, "Oh, that's a lot of water." So that kind of gave me an idea to speak on that issue, because it reminded me that some of my plant friends have said the same thing, like, I'm not really sure how much water to give my plants. And so I would say it's better to thoroughly saturate your plant the day that you're watering it. And then for most of my plants in my care, I allow them to dry out most of the way, with the exception of a couple of my, like I have a few calatheas. I don't allow those to dry out because I'll pay for that later if I do. So anyway, so that is my little tip on watering. And so I watered a few more of my plants yesterday. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. So one thing that I also hear a lot, people will say, well, when do you water your plants? You know, when is your watering day, or how often do you water the plants? And my answer to that is I water the plants when they need water. And so I hope this video is okay because it looks a little blurry from here, but so I water my plants when they need it. I check them individually. I do have a lot of plants, but what helps me is that every plant does not need care every day on the same day. So if you have a watering day and it is working well for you, then that's wonderful. But I don't have a watering day. I just go around and I check my plants. And after a while of having plants, you're going to get into a rhythm of knowing, like, okay, I think this one probably needs checking. Or, you know, when you feel the leaves or look at them or pick them up, you will be able to tell that they need water and it's time. All right, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else about watering. In the growing season, I do, or I have in the past used Neptune's Harvest liquid fertilizer, and it's very smelly, but you don't use a lot of that fertilizer. I will say that last year I was very slack with putting that in my watering can. And at one point I was watering with it, you know, at every watering, I would just have a little bit of the Neptune's Harvest in my watering can. Last year, I did not do that. At the beginning of the summer, I used Osmocote, as I spoke on in one of the other videos, and that's all that I did. That's a long-term fertilizer that fertilizes for the season, and my plants did well with that. So I may start back using some Neptune's Harvest. I do still have some, and I did like the way my plants were thriving with that. But I really, I can't say that they stopped thriving when I stopped using Neptune's Harvest. So there is that also. But it kind of makes you feel good that you know you're giving plants nutrients that they need with them just being in a pot. They're not able to soak up all the nutrients and trace minerals and things that they would have if they were in their natural environment outside. So that's the other thing. All right, so this is my Hoya Black Edge, and I am going to attempt to repot this plant now. So it is in, I guess this is probably a 4-inch pot, and it is on a small trellis. I'm going to leave it on this trellis. And I have this pot that is a clear, kind of flexible pot that I am reusing from something else. I did wash it out thoroughly, and I'm going to just upsize it to this size pot. I know that's a kind of a big jump, so I'm hoping that the chunkiness of my mix will help it, because I don't think I have anything that's in between this and that. So hopefully it will be okay. If not, I'll find out and I'll let you know. All right, so I'll angle the camera. Let me see if I can get this angled so you can see what I am doing. Woo. Oops. Okay, I'm back. The camera actually fell down when I tried to do that. So I have this. This is what it was sitting in, and this would probably be a good size to uppot it, but this is glass, and I don't feel like drilling a hole in glass right now, so I think I will still use this pot. And I'm trying to think, maybe I can fold this down and make it less, not as tall, and then that might work better for my purpose. So that's one thing about these flexible pots. You can kind of change them a little. All right, so I think that might work actually, because it's about the same height, but it's a little wider. And I'll find something pretty for this to go in so it won't be looking crazy. All right, so it's my black margin, and I'm just squeezing the pot gently. And I'm going to try to keep this on the trellis and not have to retrellis it. All right, it looks like the roots are healthy. And I think maybe last summer I might have put this on this trellis, and it's been a very slow grower. I've been kind of disappointed with the growth, so I'm hoping that maybe this fresh up pot will help it. And I'm going to put it outside this summer again to see if I can get some more growth. It does have some fresh growth on it now, and I haven't given up on it because I really like this plant, and I've seen some really full bushy ones that were beautiful. So I'm going to put a little bit of this soil in here. It's very dry, so I'm going to have to water that thoroughly. But I would rather it be really dry than to be moist with fungus gnats. Okay, so I think that was the right amount because it sits below the top of the pot. And I'll just put this in. And now, so my mix, once again, for those of you who don't know, it has potting soil, it has perlite, it has a few leca balls, it has orchid bark. It might still have some of this new potting mix that I tried that I saw on Amazon, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it seemed like it had cocoa cure in it. So I will not be purchasing that one again though, because I felt like it was giving a kind of a moldy smell. Olive, what are you doing? You trying to help me repot? Yeah, good girl. Olive loves to be in these videos. Actually, yeah, she just likes to be. She's a very, very loving and curious dog. She is, she likes to be at my side for sure. And she hears me talking, so now she thinks, why are you not talking to me? All right, so this has been, I love this tool. One of my friends at work gave me this with a lot of little gardening, little shovel or like not a shovel, but a little trowel and some pruners. And I like this scooper because it allows you to get down in the crevices of your pot gently. Okay, so you notice I did not disturb the roots of the original root ball, especially on Hoya. Now, on some plants, like anthurium, like I have a bird's nest anthurium, I score the roots of those sometimes. It's kind of like for those of you who have planted hosta outside. The roots are so tough, and you have to use a knife to score them or to try to divide them. Well, with Hoya roots, they are very sensitive and very thin roots. So most of the time when I'm repotting a Hoya, you won't see me, if I'm just potting it like this, and I don't suspect anything is wrong with the roots, and I'm not going to be raking through the roots and trying to loosen them or anything like that. That might be a different story if I'm changing to a different substrate, like if I'm putting this plant into leca, or if I was putting it into lechuza pond, then I would want to get all of the old substrate off, which would require me to remove and to really manipulate the roots. But for this, I don't have to do all of that, thankfully. All right, so I think this is in here and it's pretty full, and I'm satisfied with the size of this pot because of me being able to roll it down. I'm kind of glad I thought about that because it was a little deeper than what I wanted it to be for a pot for this plant. So this tendril here is active, and I'm kind of I'm angling it so it's going upward, because I know some say it doesn't matter if the tendrils go down, but in my care on a lot of my plants or my Hoya, if I just let the tendril drape down, then a lot of the times that tendril will die off at the tip, and then it will send a new tendril somewhere else. And I don't want the plant to waste energy doing that. All right, so this one is ready. It just needs to have a thorough watering, and then I will find something cute to sit it in, hopefully, so that this pot won't show. And that is my Hoya black margin repotted. All right, so the next plants that I have are over in the sink where I was treating them. It looks like one of them might have had mealies, so I'm gonna go grab those now and remove this other stuff. All right, so these plants are Adansonii, or Monstera Adansonii, and I had a large Adansonii that I grew from a small one, and it ended up getting mealies, and I had to end up chopping up the whole mother plant and restarting it. Well, I made these 2 pots, and then I had tons of thick vines, wet sticks that didn't have any leaves on them. So I planted those, and that pot just took off. It's doing great. Well, the pots that had a few leaves on them seem like they still are going through a little bit of struggle. And so I was hoping that these 2 pots would be nice and full, but as you can see, they are very spindly. So my plan is to remove, take these all out and then repot them together. And that way it will, at least once it gets its act together, it will be a full pot of Adansonii. And also if there's any pieces that are not viable anymore, I can just get rid of those, because these look like they are not doing well. So here we go. I'm gonna just turn these over and kind of squeeze the pot. Can't really remember what month I did these cuttings, but I know that I think that I started them in perlite, and then once they started growing a little bit, I don't know. I can't really remember, to be honest. I thought I started them in perlite, but now that I think back, I think my big pot that I just buried all those in soil. Maybe these I might have started in perlite and then transferred them to soil. But you know, I still have hope for them also. I just don't like the way they look now, and I don't like stuff around me looking crazy. Okay, so I'm seeing an issue here. What is this? This looks like, okay, no, I got scared for a minute. I thought this was root mealies, but I do remember I put some rooting compound in here. And so that's what that is rooting compound that I dipped the cuttings in there. So that answers my question. I put this in soil, and this one is not taking. I don't see signs of life on this, so I'm getting rid of that. I'll put that to the side. And now what I'll do is just kind of go through and check the roots out, make sure everything's okay. So this one here, look how that looks bad, the way it's malformed. So I'm debating on whether I will just cut both of those off, or maybe I'll just cut the bad part off. That way they will still have some leaves. So I think that's what I will do. Let me set that over here or here. All right, and then So this one has some roots on it. So this one looks a lot healthier. Let me go. This one has these great big leaves. Sorry, you couldn't even see that. And then it looks like it just has a couple of roots here, which that's surprising. This plant here, this piece doesn't have any roots. So I think the ones that don't have roots, I'm just going to take them away, move them, and get rid of them because I already have another great big pot. Now this one, look at these roots. Now tell me why this one is so well rooted and then ones that are in the same conditions didn't do hardly anything. This one also. So this is explaining why some of them look terrible because they don't have roots and these do. So this piece here, that doesn't have roots. So a lot of them, maybe they had roots and the roots rotted. I know sometimes I would go in and check this plant and then I had waited a little late to water it. So, you know, my fault, live and learn. But as long as I can salvage some of it, this piece has some good roots on it. And this one, I don't know, that looks like there's some mealies on the stem of that. I'm gonna put some systemic in this plant so that if there's anything trying to act crazy, then I will try to head that off with some systemic. And this piece, this doesn't have, that's interesting. Does this have, okay, it has a small root there. All right, so let me show you all the part that I have working with, that I'm gonna be working with these. And I think it should be fine if I put it in this size pot. So let me get the systemic. All right, hold on a moment. Let me go get that. I left that around the other side. All right, and so this shouldn't be too bad. And it looks like I didn't have to remove very many, but it's just good to check when you see there's some sort of problem or you think things aren't going right. This one has a root. I'm keeping that one. I didn't see that one at first. All right, so here we go. So I'm filling in some of the soil. And what I'm going to do is sprinkle some of the systemic down in there. Kind of mix it in. And I'll put some more. Oh, this is another one that was down here. Looks like it has one root on it. Good. All right. So now I think, let me put just a little bit more. Some systemic. I don't want to put too much soil. So there we can see. And now I'm going to kind of tuck these cuttings gently down. And hopefully they will have another chance to survive. All right, I'll just kind of try to arrange them. I kind of want to just put them all in the middle, but I don't know. Let's see. All right. And the ones that have leaves that are partially going downhill, I will cut those leaves off so that the plant is not spending time trying to rejuvenate old leaves that aren't going to do anything. All right, let me see if I can get this longer one underneath. There we go. Yeah, there was no need for these to be in two separate pots anymore. Okay. And now I will add a little soil on top of those cuttings. Maybe this will give them a little bit of another restart. Oops, I just sprinkled soil on the countertop. All right. So what planting projects are you all working on this weekend? I would be interested to know. Sometimes hearing what other people have to do will motivate me to do things that I've been putting off, or things I see around here that I need to do to these plants. But this time of year for me is motivating anyway, because I like to do outdoor gardening as well. So I went ahead and got my kale seeds and my turnip green seeds the other day, and it's been very nice this week in my area. We live in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, but next week it's supposed to be cold again. So usually it does happen that way. It's not like today. It was in the, I think, the upper 70s or something. So that's not normal for us. But anyway, the warm weather really gets me motivated to do more, because I'm ready to start growing my vegetables outside and doing my flower beds. And, you know, it's nothing fancy, but it's still just fun to be able to get outside in the warmth and work with your outdoor plants also. And I like to put some of these plants outside too. All right, so that looks better than it did, and I will be cutting off the leaves that aren't looking so hot and giving it a good water and putting it back in its spot, and hopefully giving it a treatment also. And I did spray some Captain Jacks on it before the video. Maybe that will help it to improve and to fill out and be nice and bushy. All right, I think that might be it for this video. So let me just show you. All right, so this plant, I let it sit over on the side for a while, and it has soaked up all the water. So I'm going to be putting it back in its spot. I hope that you all have a great weekend, and I hope that you get your plenty chores done that you need to do. And I will see you around on the next one. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for commenting and subscribing. And thank you for sharing my videos. Have a great weekend.